Hallo, guten Morgen, ich heiße Daryl and today we are back with another Davinci Resolve tutorial. My last video was about 2 months ago. I know, I apologize, but traveling to a new country, it's quite an experience. But yeah, I'm back, I believe, for now. So today we're turning this into this. Now let's begin. So now we've got our clip loaded into Davinci Resolve 18.5 and currently it's graded with just 12 nodes. I just created a compound node and put everything inside that compound node. So this is the clip we are working with. It's I shot this clip personally on the ARRI Alexa. I don't know, I prefer an Alexa look to an Amira actually. Well, I had two options, Amira or Alexa, but I chose Alexa. Don't worry, I'm just diverting a little bit. But yeah, this was shot on ARRI Alexa, and what we're trying to achieve here with this look is this glowing, surreal, angel-like look, and it was just hard lights coming through the window, giving the shape in our face, and I purposely used the hard lights because I kind of like how hard lights looks. To me, it looks very pleasing to the eyes rather than soft lights. Not to say soft light is not beautiful, but I just chose to work with hard light. So let me not diverge too much, and let's carry on with the tutorial. We don't need this right now. We can turn this off, or we can just delete it, and anyone you want to do, or we can create a new version. And by the way, if you don't know how to create a new version of a color grade in Davinci Resolve, when I say version, I mean if let's say you have different looks on the same clip and you don't want to, and you're trying to show a client, but you don't want to delete the previous look so you can update the other look. If you understand, I hope you understand. You can create different versions where you can quickly switch. Okay, this is look 1, look 2, and look 3. And the way you do that is by clicking on your clips. You have different clips. By the way, this is the other clip we're going to be creating. Let me just make it full screen here. This is the other clip we're going to be creating. So now you can see here, up here, I already have my version 1 loaded. You can see this is version 1. And to create a new version, just hit Ctrl or Command Y. And now you see you have version 2. A new color grading version is added. To switch between each versions, you can hit Ctrl or Command B, back to version 1, Ctrl or Command N. So back, forward, back, forward. So now in my version 2, I can turn this off. I can just delete this one, add a new node, and I can quickly switch. Ctrl B, you have your grade, Ctrl N, version 2. So let's carry on. It's just a very good tip to know. Now the way I grade, the way I like to grade is that I break my grading nodes into different sections of a tree. Hope you understand my technologies. I start with the roots, the stem, and the fruit. I just gave it a funny name. Yeah, the roots, the stem, and the fruit. And what I mean by that is that for the roots is where I have my primaries, is where I have my curves, skin tones, and other things. So this is kind of like the building block of everything. And then the stem is like the middle where I start going for my looks, actually, where I start tweaking the colors and making everything have a look. That's the stem. And then the fruits is where you have the CST, the end part of the node close to the output is where you have the color space transform, FPE, grain, and all that, just like the finishing product. And then in between, I kind of call it the leaves. So these are places where you have parallel nodes, nodes upon nodes, and something like a vignette, something like masking, all those kind of things where you need parallel nodes for. I call them leaves because they're quite a lot, and they branch out, so it's quite a funny name. You can name it whatever you can. That's just my name. So let's create 12 nodes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, because we're going to be creating with just 12 nodes. And this is the way I like to arrange my nodes. These are the fruits, and these are kind of like the roots, and these are the stem. So now I can change the order. I can move this here, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is just the way I like to arrange it. I can add and remove later on. I'm just going to put this here. So now we're going to label this node CST, which is color space transform. By the way, if you're wondering how I labeled that, it's quite easy. You can set it in your preferences. Just click on this Davinci Resolve icon here, and go to keyboard customization. Then here you search for node label, is it? Oh no, just type label. Let's see. Yeah, just type label, and you see under color, you see nodes. Then you can click on it and set whatever key you want to set it to. For me, I just set it to tab, it's easier. And then save, and yeah, this color space transform. So whenever I click on tab, I can name a node. And this is my FPE, and here you have a grain. Okay, so now these are fruits. It's very close to the output here. That's why I call them fruits. And then in our roots, we have the primaries, you have curves, and you have like skin tones, and here you have the look. Then after that, you can add any other thing, finessing you want to add. I usually add glow. For now, let's leave it at that. We're going to add other things later on, but okay, we can add this. This is our saturation. So this is still part of my my stem. This is part of my stem. And then we're going to add more nodes. Let's add more nodes. Add one here, and for now, let's leave it for now. We'll get to it later on. This I wanted to add the leaves, but we'll get to it later on. Now that we've got all this labeled properly, let's begin grading. So the first thing you should do when it comes to color grading is don't jump straight into how the clip should look. Start with color correction first. And the way I do that is by, first of all, I need to get the camera information. So what did I shoot with? And I knew this was in ARRI Alexa. So I'm just going to go into my effects. I've told you guys all this before in previous tutorials. So color space transform, use timeline, input gamma, Davinci log C4. I think the Amira uses C3. I don't know, just go online to check what color space your camera is using. So I can set this to wide gamma 4 or leave it as timeline. It doesn't really make a difference that much. This color grading thing is not, don't be so technical. I mean, you can be technical if you want to, if that's your thing, but for me, I'm not so technical. It's just a little difference that you can see between this and this. So I'm just going to leave it as use timeline. And by the way, what it's using, the timeline I set it to use, color management is using this. So great. So now let's carry on. That's all I need to do in my color space transform. In my FPE, my usual, my Kodak 2383, and now it looks horrible. Now why does it look horrible is because I did not give it the right information it needs to work. So my output gamma, it needs the Cineon film log. So now this is it, Cineon film log in my output gamma. So I'm taking it from a log C space, log C4 color space, into a Cineon film log color space, so that this FPE, which is a fingerprint emulation, can work. But now it looks very horrible. But let's carry on. In my grain, I'm going to add a grain. Take this here so we get more space. Grain. Throw grain in. I'm just going to slap in a 35 mm. I think the Alexa is 35 mm. I don't know. Okay. So now that I've got this all set up, the next thing we are going to do is our saturation, because this is, as you can see, it doesn't have color. So I'm just going to go in my RGB mixer, red, max it, max out, and blue, max out. And we are having this thing that doesn't look so good. And you can see my virtual scope that is blowing out. So I'm just going to take the key output maybe here. Okay, I'm gonna find it here. Now we can go into our primaries. So now we are done with the fruits. We are done with the stem. So now let's go to the roots. Now, why is this in front of this? That's why is this CST in front of this? Why not this first? Because we're color correcting first. Well, the reason is because if I take this, you saw how it looks. You can see how it looks right now, how contrasty and everything it looks. If I put it in front, and I feed this information. So let's say I take my lift up and take my gamma and all stuff up, it's going to read the information from here. So it's going to see that, okay, here is already crushed, there's nothing it can do anymore. So if I try to lift it up, it's just going to, break the image. But if I read it straight from the camera, like how it looks from the camera, it's going to have better information. So it's not going to see this like it is right now. It's going to see this and turn it off. So this is going to read like this. So I hope you understand, guys. So this primaries here is going to read straight from the camera raw information rather than it's reading from this already crushed look here. Yeah, so that's why this is in front and this is straight from the camera. Okay, so now in my primaries, what am I going to do here? Okay, I'm going to try to bring back this dead blacks, shadows, trying to bring them back up. So in my lift, I'm just going to push it up a little bit, and something like this. Maybe something like this. I think I'm okay with this. And then in my gain, I'm just going to push it up slightly, just a little bit, because I don't want to blow this out. And then in my offset, let's see, what do I want to do in my offset? So maybe just push it up a bit. And then I can see that it's a bit too contrasty, so I'm just going to drop the contrast down a bit, maybe somewhere around 0.950. Now you can see how we've gotten back some of this information. Okay, I think I am done with my primaries, my color wheels. I think I'm kind of done with it for now. And then where I move to my HDR, which is the high dynamic range color wheels. Now this is very powerful in a sense. Let's say for example, I shot this on the ARRI Alexa, but I didn't shoot ARRI raw. On this particular footage, it's the ProRes, Apple ProRes, I believe. I'm just going to check it by quickly double tapping here. Yeah, Apple ProRes. Double tap to bring that back. So I shot on Apple ProRes. I think other clips I did shoot on ARRI raw, but for this is ProRes. So it doesn't have that raw information. It's still very good for color grading, but it doesn't have that raw information. So this is the next best thing to kind of getting a bit of raw information. All I just need to do is to tell it that, okay, I am grading on an ARRI log C4 space. That's all it needs to know. So it has adjusted in the mathematics deep down. It has adjusted that, okay, this is now reading like your camera, like your camera raw. So it's a really powerful tool. You can read more about it, or you can search more about it. It's a really powerful tool. So what I'm going to do here, rather than manipulating it here, because what this does is kind of like pushing values to kind of mimic like it was on set, but it doesn't get it right. But this is as close as you can get to like actually being on set and changing the exposure and changing the values in camera. So this is as close as you can get. In my shadows, I'm going to bring up the shadows because I don't really like how here it's it's dying. So I'm just going to bring it up, maybe just go higher, maybe bring it up a bit. No, this is too much. Somewhere around, let me just say 0.6. That's 0.60. Yeah, I kind of like this. Before, after, sweet, really nice. And then in my global, I'm just going to take it up a bit, 0.05, just a little. I'm okay here. So by the way, what this does is this shows you, when you press this, it shows you where your shadows are affecting, where your highlights are affecting, and where your darks are affecting. So you can move this around to select more areas you want to. Then for my contrast, I'm going to take it down just a bit, let's get a bit of softness in there. Something coming like this. Yeah, this is beautiful, really, really beautiful. So let me reset everything before, after. You can see how much life it brought out. if I had done it from here, it wouldn't just look nice. So let me show you, by the way, how it will look. So let's say I'm not reading this from here, I'm reading it from here. Okay, so basically what I did right now is I'm feeding my CSC from the camera into my FPE, and then it's feeding to my primaries, which is feeding out to the game, and you can see how it looks. This is what would happen if you feed it from this instead of feeding it from the camera, straight from the camera. That's exactly how it would look. So now I will undo all this. Now it's time for our curves. This is my favorite part, which doesn't really do much, but I just like it. I just like playing around with curves. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm just going to give it a bit of a hazy vintage look. Somewhere around here is fine. And then because this image is a bit warm, I'm just going to throw some blues into the shadows, to complement. Something like this, just a little. This is the difference before and after. It just adds a personality to the whole image, and I'm kind of okay here. So now carry on to our skin tones. You know what, let's not jump to our skin tones first. Let me build the look before I go to my skin tones. So now we're in our look. Now this is where you can start manipulating the values to get what you want. On a second thought, I don't think I'm totally happy with my exposure levels, so I'm just maybe going to take this down a bit. Just bring them down a bit. I think I'm fine here. I think I'm okay here. Alright, so now let's jump back to our look. So for what I'm going to do in my look, I'm just going to kind of take some of the reds out, because right now it's just way too red and yellow. You can see it's in between here, and it's way too much. So I'm just going to take it down, maybe throw this down a bit to kind of have, there's no way I can get blue because there's no blue in the image, except I do some really crazy stuff. But let's not break the image, let's just take it down a little. So for my reds, I'm just going to take it down quite a lot. We're around here. You can see how much that does, how much that did. It can be from here to here, here to here. Now this has totally given it another look. Now it's more sinister. I'll just take some of those greens out. This is too much, but right there is fine. Just take some of those greens out, and then take some of the blues out. Somewhere around, I think here is fine. Here is fine. So I kind of love this. You can see before, after. So now this is a look. So when it comes to building a look, I like to work with my look node, and I like to work with my primary nodes to build the kind of color I'm going for. So I'm hopping back to my primary nodes, and I'm hopping back to the offset rows, and I'm just going to tweak this around a little, to kind of get the desired effect I have in my head, desired look I have in my head. So maybe this would work here. Take some of those greens out again. Maybe just keep this 25. Keep this at 25. Yeah, double tap 25. Okay. For after. Nice. So maybe I'll just bring back, because here is, I want to bring back more of that glow. So yeah, start a bit little. Okay, this is too much. This is kind of okay right there. It's kind of okay. Maybe push my gamma up a bit. Okay, this is fine. All right, like this. This is beautiful. So this is where we started from, and this is where we are now currently. Let me just tweak some things a little bit. Just like this. Okay. I'm just making very little changes that you might not really notice, but they kind of build up to add look. So now I think we can go to our skin tones after seeing how the final look will be. Then we can select here, Shift H to see. She kind of has the same color with her hair, so it's going to be quite difficult selecting her hair out. I think this is the best we can get. Maybe we can try the 3D qualifier. Let's draw a line, something like this. Yes, this is still going to give you the same thing because, come on, it's the same color, so I think this is fine for me. Now we can see from our skin tone line where the skin tone lies, it's not so far off from it. It's not so far from the skin tone lines. So, well, I'm just going to adjust it just a little bit, nothing too much. So I'm bring back the color to even know what I'm doing. Something like this. Not much of a difference, just very little. Okay, so now I'm lacking a bit of color, so maybe I'll just bring my saturation back up a bit. Okay, this is fine. And then now we can move on to our stem. This is part of our stem, by the way. I'm just going to put it here, put this back up. And in my glow, I'm just going to add the glow in here. Now for the settings, you are totally free to change whatever you want to move things around to suit whatever image you have. But for this, I'm just going to go with something like 0.15, 0.13, something like this. Oh, now you can see how blown out it looks. Yes, this is kind of what I am going for, but this is too much. So I'm just going to spread it out a lot, really spread it out. Like this is maximum, beautiful. And then I'm going to take the global blend down like a lot, something like 0.2. Nice. So this is before, after, so I'm happy with that. And then the next node I'm going to add is my light ray. The heaven light rays, yeah. The heaven ray. Light rays. Slap it in. And now you can see what it's doing. Right now it looks like crap, but I'm going to move it around so you can see how it's really affecting the image. But for now, let's set my threshold to around 0.3. I think this is fine. And then we're going to move this around so that I want to get the same direction of light. Now you can see this wheel. You can also push this wheel, this point, sorry, so you can get the direction, something like this. So I'm kind of fine here because you can see it's coming here and it's going in that direction. But right now it's not long enough to spread across the face. So why I like this effect, by the way, is that it kind of mimics light ray and it responds to movements in the video. So let's say, for example, she's moving around, her face can get, the light rays can get blocked by her face. So it's very, very responsive, and I kind of love it. It's not just like the generic one that just comes across. Whatever happens in the video doesn't really affect the light ray. No, this is different. This actually affects, whatever happens in the video actually affects the light ray. So it's really nice. It's a really nice effect. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spread the length to be maxed out, and then I'm going to make it really soft, something like this. Yeah, maybe take the global blend down a bit. No, I'm just going to leave it. I think the effect here is now glow. Yeah, it's our glow that's causing a problem. So let's see, what can we do to make our glow better? I'm just going to play around with these settings. How about I take this down a bit? Okay, so now obviously this image is way too blown out, so let's kind of fix some things. I'll take this down just a bit. Okay, so now I just took my gamma down a bit, now to just kind of level it out. And for my saturation, it's going over, so I'm just going to take it down a bit, maybe back to 300. Okay, this is kind of fine. So now we've got this, we've got our stem settled, we've got our root settled, and we've got our fruit settled. So now let's go out for the branches. Let's try and create some branches here, or some leaves here. Alt S, and then add a parallel node, or you can just click Alt P to add a parallel node. Let's rearrange this a bit. So now you can see how this is branching out because of this. I just call it leaves because it's branching out and creating leaves. Now label this inner vignette, and maybe this outer vignette. Oh, messed up the spelling. After vignettes. Okay, so what this outer vignette does, I'm just gonna show you. Create something like this. I'm going to rotate it, to kind of come from the same direction like as the light is coming from. Spread out a bit. Invert it so that it affects everywhere except the eyes, and then I'm going to make everywhere darker. Not so much though, just a bit dark. This is fine. Before, after, and spread it out a bit so it looks softer and more natural. Perfect. And then for the inner one, we'll just kind of copy paste. It's basically the same thing, except I'm not inverting it this time because I want to affect the eyes, and I am not reducing the offsets. I'm just going to give it a little bit of boost in the eyes here. So now you can see what that does. Before, after, before, after. You know what, I'm just going to put it somewhere around here. Before, after, before, after. Now let's go back to our previous grade and let's see the differences. B and B and this is version 1, this is version 2. Now the kind of difference between them is just in exposure levels and maybe a bit more saturation. So now let's take this gamma down to B and B and B and okay, let's make this more hazy. Great. And then give it more saturation, and maybe take the contrast down a bit. Give it more boost in the highlights here, and in the glow, give it a bit more boost. Something like this. And I think we are pretty close to the initial grade, except this one had a darker edge, so I'm just going to give it more contrast here. Something like this. We make it a bit smaller. Yeah, something like this. B and B and. So you can never get it exactly, but we're close. Let me make it a bit warmer, something like this. And then this inner one, I'm going to close it down a bit. Take this down a bit. And this is it, guys. Just slight differences in the exposure and color. Like this one has more green. This has more green, so maybe I'll bring back the reds. Something like this. There you can see the difference. Not so much. Not so much. But here we have it, guys. We replicated my earlier grade I hope you guys understood this. And for the next clip, it's pretty much a copy. And where is it? So I'm just going to copy this, create a new version of color grade, reset all nodes, copy and paste, and this is it. Then just rotate this to kind of suit the eyes and the direction of light. Save, and this is pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know I didn't really explain perfectly, but I hope you understood a thing or two and took some pieces of knowledge from this color grading tutorial. So I will drop this film. This video is from a film I made. I haven't released it here yet, but I might drop it in coming months. I will let you guys know before I drop it. So I hope you guys have a great time. Auf Wiedersehen.